poultry, and today I've decided to do something completely different that I've never attempted on the channel before. A vegan taste test of the new Wicked Kitchen range. So the first item in the range I've decided to try are the Wicked Teriyaki noodles, savoury sweet roasted cluster mushrooms with Asian style veg. They've given it a mild chilli rating. I can see a lot of fresh chilli here, including the seeds. Now normally I'd take the seeds out. I like spicy food, but I don't like heat for the sake of heat. So I'd be interested to see exactly whether I consider that to be a mild rating or not. One thing I do really like is that I can clearly see inside this package everything I'm going to be eating. Everything in there I can identify as a real vegetable. I can see the Savoy cabbage, I can see the coriander, the chilli, the mushrooms. So I get a really good impression of exactly what it is I'm going to be eating, and that's what I really like about this whole range and the whole packaging. I'm really interested to try these mushrooms. I haven't really tried many different varieties of mushrooms, and this one here in particular, it looks like it would have quite a meaty, substantial texture, so I think that's going to be really interesting in there. There is a little pot here of fried onions, crispy fried onions to sprinkle on top once everything else is heated through, so that's a nice little touch there. And then obviously all of them state that they're suitable for vegans, and in terms of ingredients and allergens, there is wheat flour, wheat and soya in there. For anybody that's really particular about the ingredients that goes in their food, I just wanted to point out that there is glucose syrup in here. That's probably going to be in the teriyaki dressing. There is also palm oil and ethanol. Now, as far as I can see, I presume the ethanol is going to be more related to the preservation of the food rather than an actual ingredient in there. It seems like quite an odd ingredient to be in there. Please correct me if that's wrong, but I think that's much more a preservation ingredient rather than an ingredient in the actual food. We'll go ahead and open this up. So the first thing to note is that it does smell incredibly fresh. It literally smells like I've just chopped those ingredients myself. Here's my little pot of fried onions. That's quite a nice little touch. It's going to give a little bit of a crisp texture on top of there. So I quite like little additions like that, little toppings. One thing I will say is that this doesn't look particularly like it would fill me as a main meal. I do have quite a big appetite, and I know from experience that usually noodles, they don't tend to fill me up as much as rice or pasta would. So just based on my own personal preference, I would say that I would like to see this packet a little bit fuller, and it does look like the majority of it is noodles and vegetables, but we'll see how it all combines once it's all mixed together. So the description is cooked rice noodles with seasoned cooked mushrooms, cabbage, carrot, spring onion and chilli, topped with teriyaki sauce and coriander with a pot of crispy fried onions. So that sounds really good. If we move on to the heating instructions, so it's remove the sleeve and lid, take out the onion pot and put the lid back on loosely. For my microwave, which is 800 watts, it's 3 minutes 45 seconds on full power. Stir and then heat for another minute and a half. Stir again, then sprinkle the onions on top before serving, and stand for 1 minute. So that all seems fairly straightforward. As I mentioned in my introduction video, it does state that they're to be kept refrigerated and not suitable for home freezing. So you do need to bear that in mind when you're purchasing them and when you're planning for the week ahead. For anybody that's especially interested, here's a close-up of the nutrition table and the ingredients. This package contains 1 serving, no artificial flavours or colours, 1 of your 5 a day. So the first thing to point out is that the cooking time was accurate. I'm one of these really irritating people that has to have my food piping hot. So the guidelines given for my wattage of microwave, this is the perfect temperature for me. So I'm going to go in with the crispy onions. It's quite a nice little touch. And I'm going to let that sit for roughly about 1 minute. So obviously, as is typical with most ready meals, once it's actually been heated and the vegetables have started to wilt down, it doesn't look as impressive as it does to begin with in the box. You can see it's also reduced quite significantly. So this container now to me only looks about half full. That's a little bit disappointing for the price. I would have expected a bit more volume in there. And again, that is typical of a ready meal. Obviously, once the vegetables and things start to cook down, it is bound to reduce in volume. But that seems to be quite a significant reduction. So let's give it a go. Try and get a little bit of everything. Some mushroom in there. Didn't realise those mushrooms are quite large, so I'll just cut that. And a little bit of everything there on the fork. Here we go. That's really nice. They've got an extremely meaty, chewy texture to them. I am a huge mushroom lover, so I really quite like that. If you're not as keen on mushrooms, this might be one of the dishes that you want to avoid, because there's quite a lot of these mushrooms spread throughout the dish, and they really have got a very distinctive, meaty, chewy texture. So that might be something that either appeals to you or repels you. So again, just a little bit, trying to get a little bit of everything here. You can probably hear some of that crunch still in the vegetables. The ratio of vegetables to noodles is quite good. So it doesn't look like I'm going to be left with too many plain noodles. I would agree with the chilli rating of mild. Despite the fact that I could see all that fresh chilli and the chilli seeds on top, I think because there is a little bit of water retained in the noodles, that has diluted the chilli much more than I imagined it would. So I would agree that it is a mild chilli rating. Obviously that's something that's very specific to yourself, but for me, I think a mild chilli rating is accurate. These mushrooms are really interesting. They've got a very distinct texture, which is unlike a lot of foods I've had since I turned vegan. It's not really something that many plant foods offer, so that is a really nice addition. It's got quite a different, distinct texture, and I definitely think they add something to the dish. All in all, overall flavour, freshness of the ingredients, the addition of the mushrooms, it's all in all a nice dish. I'm not altogether sure that the crispy onions added anything. They seem to have lost a little bit of their crispiness. It's a nice touch, but I'm not sure that they add much to the dish, if I'm honest. As I say, it's a nice balance of noodles to vegetables, a nice balance of sauce to noodle ratio. And all in all, it's really quite nice. As I said before, I don't imagine it's going to be my favourite, but that's very personal to me. Although I do eat noodles, I do tend to prefer other forms of starch. So this was always likely to be the dish that I found the most underwhelming. It's probably not something I'd pick again to eat for pleasure, but I did want to include it in the taste test just because it is quite different to the other dishes, and because it's got the addition of these cluster mushrooms, which I think are quite an unusual ingredient, something that probably a lot of vegans haven't tasted before, and it just adds a certain element to it which elevates it beyond a regular noodle dish. So I did feel it was important to try it out. That large cluster mushroom there was really quite chewy. So I would definitely say, if you don't consider yourself a mushroom lover, I would probably steer clear of this one, because they've got a very distinct, chewy, slightly rubbery mushroom flavour, which you can't really get away from. And for me, that's what's adding something a little bit different to the dish. But if you're not a huge mushroom fan, then it's probably not going to be your favourite. All in all, I'd probably rate it a steady 6 out of 10. That may change when I've tried the rest of the range. So I am planning on filming a roundup video once I have tested everything. So I definitely give it a steady 6 out of 10. I probably think I've marked it down a little bit by at least a couple of points, just because I'm a little bit disappointed in the quantity. Definitely once it had been cooked, it really did seem to shrink down in the tub. So for me, for somebody that has a big appetite, I've definitely knocked a few marks off there for that, because I'm quite certain that this wouldn't fill me as a main meal, and I'm probably going to have to go look for a snack or something else in a couple of hours' time. So for that reason alone, I've marked it down a few points. And again, that's something that's very personal. If you haven't got a particularly big appetite, if you're just looking for something really quick, grab and go, then obviously it's ideal. If you're looking for a substantial main meal, then I think you might be a little bit disappointed with the overall quantity. So that's the first taste test video done. Please let me know how you liked it. I've never done anything like this before. Let me know what you thought of the format, where I'm trying to concentrate much more on the food rather than a complete visual. Is that something you like? Do you not like it? Would you much rather see a full picture? Let me know what you think, and hopefully I'll get your comments in time to alter some of the videos going forward. I will be trying to release the videos in real time. Please bear with me if that doesn't happen. But over the next 7 to 10 days, there should be a video each day featuring a different item from the range and a completely 100% honest, unbiased taste test. If you like the video, please let me know by leaving a thumbs up. Leave a comment down below and let me know what you thought. And I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. One thing I did forget to point out is this video is not sponsored in any way by either Tesco or by Wicked Kitchen. I visited my own Tesco store and bought all of these myself with my own money, so you can be guaranteed of a 100% unbiased review. I thought it was important to mention that. Speak to you soon. I've never done anything like this before. Let me know how you like the format.